Welcome back to the AAA MF YouTube channel. Today we have the very first UK registered C8 Corvette Stingray in the country. We have great weather and we have a convertible. So before we start talking about the car, why don't we put the roof down and see how easy it is to do. So we have two clips here, one here. It's made out of carbon fiber, so it's very light. Let's open the boot first. So I want to prove that this is a one-man job. Here we go. It's extremely light. And we slot that into the boot. Here we go. Try not to damage the carbon. And there you go, that's in place. And this has a soft close boot. Yes. There you go, soft close boot. And we have the roof down. I have to admit, it's pretty freezing, but let's jump in and see what it's like. Welcome to the 2021 Chevrolet Corvette C8 Stingray. This, hopefully, will be a game changer for the company, given that it is their first kind of entry into the supercar market with the mid-engine layout. They've decided to keep this one naturally aspirated, and I would imagine they've done that on purpose so that they can bring out faster variants in the future and either turbocharge them or supercharge them. But definitely this engine block has a huge amount of potential, and there's talks about bringing out a version with 1,000 brake horsepower. The one thing that strikes you immediately when you get into this car is the build quality. Being an American car, you would think that it doesn't have great build quality. They're not known for their build quality, American cars, but actually you could be in a German car. You feel, everything feels right. The stalks feel great, the paddles feel great, the steering wheel is nice, squared off, and it's designed so that you can see the gauges in front of you. The seats are really, really comfortable. Just feels like a quality product. That was something of a surprise to me. The engine sounds really, really good when you're planting the throttle to the floor. If you're not planting the throttle to the floor, you can't really hear too much of the engine. We're currently in this Z mode, which is the most aggressive mode, so you press the Z button on the steering wheel and it gives you the most aggressive setup, and it doesn't feel aggressive, but let's remember that this is the entry level and there's going to be a lot of variants, I would imagine, of this car. Apparently they're pumping out 200 a day in the US and they only sell for $76,000 there, so I would imagine this is flying in the US. Now in the UK this is going to come in at 81,000 to 86,000 depending on whether you go for the coupe or the convertible Targa version, and there's going to be different specs. I think the UK cars are going to come with LT2 and this is an LT3, and this has lots of carbon all over the car. So what's it like to drive? Well, the one thing that it's really great at is soaking up these British B roads and all the potholes. Really, really fantastic ride quality, and I can't remember being in something outside of a McLaren that really soaked up the roads this well, that was a sports car or supercar. So they've done a really good job of that. one of the reasons is because the front is not too low, and I think that's one of the reasons it soaks up the roads. On a lot of sports cars, the cars sit very, very low, and that makes it fairly difficult for the cars to actually do well on all these potholed roads in the UK. The option of having the roof off is really, really nice and adds a huge amount of fun to driving. I did drive it with the roof off for a while, but it was actually way too cold to keep it off. The acceleration is brutal. It's absolutely brutal. It is fantastic. You don't need any more power than this. Here we go. Yeah, you don't need any more power than that. 500 brake horsepower is enough in this car. Can't imagine what the next version of this is going to be like. The handling is really good, unless you're really hammering it. So I did manage to get the back out a few times, but at fairly normal speeds, even when you're pushing it, the handling is fine. That V8's lovely. Can't go wrong with a naturally aspirated V8 engine, can you? And the mid-engine setup obviously helps weight distribution, so now it actually handles well, as opposed to, you know, the front engine cars that they used to make, which makes it a lot more difficult to handle well. A really lovely car. I'm very, very surprised.
So how do we summarise the Corvette C8 Stingray? Well, Gavin bought this car for £120,000 as an imported car, but they're going to start coming into the UK next year at 81 to 86. I can't think of anything else at that price that looks this good, that drives this well, that has such a lovely power plant. Is it a sports car or a supercar? That's a real question. I think at the moment in this spec, I think it looks like a supercar, but it drives like a sports car. But I think that they're going to bring out versions that drive like a supercar and that have more supercar power. They're probably going to sit lower. If you look at this, there's quite a big gap between the tyre and the wheel arch, and I think that's what gives it the better ride quality. But I also think that that's why it doesn't handle as well. So I would imagine that they're going to bring out versions that handle a lot better, that sit a lot lower, that have more power, that are going to drive like supercars. But I can't think of anything else at this price range that competes with this. Well done. It's a fantastic car from Chevrolet, and I think this is actually going to sell really well in the UK when people start to get into them and drive them. Don't forget that if you live in the UK and you're thinking about buying a car from £25,000 and upwards, go to the Magnitude Finance calculator. The link is below, and you can see how much your monthly payments will be really quickly. Thank you for watching. Thanks to Magnitude Finance for sponsoring this video. Finally, I want to thank Gavin for giving us this car. This is the only C8 registered in the UK, so thanks to him for allowing us to drive this car. We'll see you soon for more content.